Good afternoon. I'm Spot On Weather Meteorologist Matthew Euler, and we're going to take a look at the long range forecast effective today's date, 19 December. So we're going to start off by taking a look at the charts for each of the particular slides in the presentation. I've got a general surface thickness chart over here on the left, and then I have a jet stream pattern, a 300 millibar chart, 30,000 foot jet stream level chart forecast on the right. So let's start off with Friday, this Friday, 23 December. What we're expecting for Southeast Virginia is high pressure, dry conditions, and it will be slightly below normal in temperatures. We're expecting highs in the upper 40s with dry conditions on Friday. We have a 1,033 millibar high, pretty much parked over the top of us. So it's going to be slightly below normal. The 540 thickness line is just to our north over Hampton and Newport News. So it will be a little bit cooler than normal on Friday behind the passage of a cold front on Thursday evening. The jet stream configuration, we have a nice little ridge that's going basically building up into the Gulf of Alaska and a trough again forming off the United States west coast. This has been a common theme so far. The western United States has not had much ridging, and that's really played a big factor in what kind of weather we can expect in these long-range outlooks. At the present time, the forecast is looking like a zonal west-east flow of the main jet axis across Kansas, Missouri, Kentucky into Virginia, and then ridging again offshore up towards Greenland at that time on Friday. So a fairly flat flow, which indicates slightly below normal to seasonable temperatures. Now, I know it's a big weekend coming up. We got Christmas Eve on Saturday, and then we have Christmas Day on Sunday. So take a look. On Christmas Eve, we expect the high pressure that was over us on Friday to be sliding off to the east, out over the western Atlantic. We will have a return to more southerly winds, south-southwest winds into Southeast Virginia, which means milder conditions. There is a little bit of rain if you're planning to travel west. That is forecast for Kentucky, southern Illinois, Missouri, and into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and northern Texas. Most of the wintry weather, if you're traveling out west or flying, pack your warm clothes because most of the wintry weather remains out west. There's an area of low pressure over Idaho with snow over Montana, into eastern Washington, Oregon, into Northern California, into the Sierra Nevadas. So expect for Southeast Virginia that we will remain dry on Christmas Eve. It will be milder with high temperatures into the lower 50s at that time. The jet stream, it's changed a little bit from the previous, from the Friday forecast. We have that trough, which is digging even further all the way down into Southern California. The main jet stream axis is pretty much zonal, again across the eastern United States. Not much amplification, which means fairly seasonable temperatures. We do not have a huge ridge, upper level ridge building into the east, so we're not going to be exceptionally above normal, but we also do not have any deep troughs like you see out here in the west, which would indicate much colder temperatures. All right, taking a look at Christmas Day forecast, that area of low pressure, we have area of low pressure that develops, and it is fairly intense at 999 millibars situated over central Nebraska. A lot of strong southerly wind flow out ahead of it into the Midwest for Christmas Day, extending from Iowa, southern Minnesota, southern Wisconsin, southern Michigan, across the Ohio River Valley into Virginia. We do have rain in the forecast for Christmas Day. We will be in southerly wind flow, though, so we are going to be very mild. High temperatures right now, the way it looks, for Southeast Virginia Christmas Day, between 55 and 60 degrees. But if you're traveling Christmas Day, or if you have relatives, family, and friends up in the northern plains, northern Minnesota, the heaviest snow looks like right now it would fall 6 to 12 inches, North Dakota, South Dakota, on the backside of this intense low. Places that were really frigid this weekend in the Midwest look to be a lot milder with rain. So what we're looking at here now with the jet stream pattern is the troughing is now moved inland into the Rocky Mountain states that was once digging into Southern California. Now east, it's propagated east into the central Rocky states. We now have a little bit more ridging trying to develop in the eastern United States. This polar front jet axis is now further north over eastern Canada, actually over basically to the north of the United States border. So mild conditions can be expected across the eastern United States for Christmas Day. And again, just to reiterate, mostly cloudy conditions, mild, high 55 to 60 with rain showers. But we're not expecting a washout by any stretch for Christmas Day for your plans here if you're staying in the local area. Forecast valid Monday, 26 December. We have a weaker cold front that is forming out to the west of our area. A 998 millibar low, the low that was generally over this location that really intensified over the northern plains, that races off to the northeast towards the eastern Canadian provinces. And we have a cold front, some rain showers remain to our northwest the day after Christmas. Again, we're fairly mild. Temperatures will be, highs will be in the upper 50s to near 60. The jet stream, you can see another jet max indicated by these orange colors. Winds 140 to 160 knots, starting to dump down and deepen. They will deepen this trough over time. Again, more of a southwest and northeast orientation now of the jet stream over the eastern United States. And now you're starting to see a little bit more of an upper level ridge trying to bump up these heights into the mid-Atlantic region, which would indicate we're going to get warmer. Tuesday, 27 December, next Tuesday, I know a lot of kids will be out on break, school break and vacations. What we expect is that area of the front that was out to the west will have moved through by this point. A weak area of high pressure over eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania. Dry conditions for Southeast Virginia. We do have a little bit of some precipitation trying to form over the Midwestern United States. You can see how this trough, this persistent, strong jet max is within the main jet stream axis, continuing to form another trough now of Southern California. And again, the orientation remains relatively unchanged between the 26th and the 27th, a southwest and northeast orientation of the winds. And look at that ridge again, bumping up, raising our upper level heights. Southeast Virginia, we're going to warm up even more on Tuesday the 27th. We'll probably be up into the lower 60s at that point. All right, forecast valid 28 and 29 December. Now we're just looking at thickness charts. We have an area of rain to the northwest, an area of low pressure over the Rocky States, 1,002 millibars. And we have some rain showers to the north. Some scattered showers around Hampton Roads. Not expecting a washout again. Winds are high pressure over eastern Canada, so the flow around this is clockwise. So we are going to get, again, southerly, southwesterly winds on the 28th as well as the 29th. This area of low pressure that formed over the Rocky Mountain states races northeastward to the Great Lakes area and really deepens to a 970 millibar low pressure system and very strong winds and blizzard-like conditions for Minnesota into Iowa by the 29th of December. But you can see the rain starting to approach Southeast Virginia at this point. There is a little bit stronger push of cold air on the backside of this deep low. So New Year's Eve and New Year's Day forecast. New Year's Eve is on the left and New Year's Day is on the right. We're expecting a cool down. So we go from this chart where we see some of the colder air starting to come into the Midwest. That's going to spill east-southeast over time. So by New Year's Eve, we're much colder actually. Thickness has dropped drastically, and we could see highs in the upper 30s by New Year's Eve. Looks to me like the rain is pushed off to the southeast at this point, so it should be fairly dry, but colder than average for this time of year. New Year's Day, 1039 millibar high situated over West Virginia will influence our weather, keeping temperatures fairly cold. We're expecting highs in the lower 40s as it looks right now for New Year's Day across Southeast Virginia. All right, let's take a quick look at the teleconnection forecasts. I mentioned this in a previous video when we talked about the winter weather forecast considerations. There's a part 1 and a part 2. If you get a chance, take a look at it and you'll see what I'm talking about with all these teleconnections. All right, so this is the North Atlantic Oscillation forecast from GFS. Looking out in the future here over the next couple weeks, we expect neutral to positive North Atlantic Oscillation. The Arctic Oscillation, we expect a positive Arctic Oscillation over the next 2 weeks through early January. And the Pacific North American, or PNA, we're expecting negative, neutral to more negative values over the next 2 weeks. What does this mean? A neutral to positive NaO, a positive AO, and a negative PNA. That favors a milder Eastern North America and a colder Western North America pattern over the next 2 weeks. Let's look at the sea surface temperatures and the Southern Oscillation Index. This has to do more with La Nina. This shows you this chart here. These are the observed sea surface temperature anomalies in degrees Celsius. We're looking at 1 to 2 degrees Celsius below normal water temperatures across the equatorial eastern into the central Pacific at the present time. That indicates the La Nina that's currently going on. It is weak. 30-day moving Southern Oscillation Index. With the Southern Oscillation Index, when we look at that teleconnection, if it's greater than positive 7, it usually indicates a La Nina. If the values are less than negative 7, it's an El Nino. And if the values range from negative 7 to positive 7, it's a neutral condition. So it's between a El Nino and a La Nina. The latest 30-day average value of the Southern Oscillation Index is a positive 2.7. So that would indicate neutral type conditions currently. Again, the La Nina indicated by these below normal sea surface temperatures that I just mentioned across the equatorial Pacific. With the La Nina, it's very weak at best right now. And if you look at the graph here, we're looking at a crash in the Southern Oscillation Index forecasted down to -5, -6 territory here in the last week of December, and then a slight rise to positive values, but no significant values above positive 7 or below -7. So it looks like neutral conditions. And then a review of teleconnection histories. This just shows you from the Mid-Atlantic Teleconnection website. Google it sometime, it's really good. This is January forecast. This is past teleconnections for a positive AO, a positive NaO, and a negative PNA pattern. This shows you the temperature anomalies. So these scales indicate temperature anomalies with yellows, oranges, and reds above normal or warmer than normal. And then the aqua, the blues are below normal temperatures. So based on past teleconnections, you see that it's yellow here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make this a second part. I don't want to go over my time. So I'm going to go ahead and end right here, and I'll pick it back up right here again for a continued discussion of the long range. Be right back in a few minutes with the second part.